This was simply a super introduction. I must admire your skills as a chairperson because last year we had the 48th Indian Prosthodontic Society National Conference aired from Nagpur, and I was the scientific co-chairperson. So I admire the entire team for the efforts that they have taken. It's my proud privilege to be here. So without much ado, let me begin with my presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow colleagues, and my dear students, it's indeed a proud privilege for me to be addressing you all in this prestigious fourth Kerala State Conference organized by you wonderful people. I would like to thank my dear friend Dr. Rupesh and Dr. Cherian for giving me this opportunity to speak as the first keynote speaker on the second day. Thank you very much. Namaskaram to everyone. I have been a chairside CAD/CAM user for more than 8.5 years. So as a prosthodontist, this is something which really empowers us to create our own restorations chairside in the clinic. We as prosthodontists are very well versed with the dental technology and the laboratory procedures. However, there are times when we really feel the need of directing the entire process ourselves and having the final product delivered then and there. Today, the art of CAD/CAM dentistry has gone from one level to the next, and we have the entire chairside CAD/CAM system in its glory with the advent of devices like the Prime Scan and the Prime Mill, which enables the users to produce high quality restorations within matter of minutes. So we are in the era where physical impression making is being taken over by digital impression making, and there are number of intraoral scanners that are available in the market today. Time has come, dear friends, when initially we were scanning and making single restorations to the time where we are able to scan the whole arches, and that has really opened up the possibilities to create full mouth restorations, create digital dentures, create implant frameworks, so on and so forth. So just to tell you a little bit about the state of the art of the intraoral scanners, today's fourth generation intraoral scanners can scan a single arch in less than 40 seconds. Now, this is the time usually we take just to select the appropriate impression tray in the patient's mouth, right? You can finish an arch in 40 seconds, the full mouth in less than a minute once you get comfortable. So as you see in the video, it's just a matter of hovering the intraoral scanner over the tissues and the teeth, and a virtual model is created. Now, today's scanners have a very good depth of field, and they are able to record the palate completely, which was not the case with the earlier scanners. So now we have a complete maxillary virtual arch or a cast present with us, and you can do whatever you need to do, starting from a single restoration to full mouth rehabilitations. Also, the software progressively is becoming smarter. For example, this is the thumb of the operator, which is also scanned by the intraoral scanner, right? Very quickly, the scanner recognizes that that is an artifact, that is not a tooth or gingiva, right? And it eliminates the impression of the thumb from the overall scan. And next time when the dentist tries to put his thumb in between, the software simply refuses to record it. So that is a very smart algorithm that these kind of softwares have. So you'll be surprised to know that they have a artificial intelligence module built in. So the software learns from the scanning and designing style of the operator. So as you start using the software, progressively it will customize it to your liking automatically. So this is the state of the art. And as far as the manufacturing of restoration is concerned, we have the Prime Mill, which can mill a zirconia crown in less than 5 minutes. So the time is shortening progressively. There were times when it used to take, 10 to 15 minutes to fabricate a zirconia crown. And now the technology has progressed in leaps and bounds that you get a beautiful finished crown in a matter of less than 5 minutes. Now, this is something which is really remarkable. So why are we looking at chairside CAD CAM? We are prosthodontists. We are used to taking impressions. We take very good jaw relations. And we have dental laboratories which have very good skilled technicians and technology with them. So then why chairside CAD CAM? As Dr. Koshi rightly said, it gives the operator the complete control. When you do a fabulous tooth preparation, your next wish is to have a restoration that will have precise margins, that will have no overhangs, that will have the occlusal morphology of your liking. And this is something which you can control completely in chairside. You have grossly shortened treatment time. It is possible today to deliver single restorations, even multiple restorations, three-unit bridges in just a matter of few minutes. So one visit dentistry is gaining even more acceptance today in the post-COVID era. Now the patients are reluctant to visit a dental clinic number of times. They would love to have a treatment module where things are completed in one single visit. Like Dr. Koshi rightly said, that with chairside CAD CAM, we have the ability to do conservative treatment. And today's lecture is going to focus completely on these kind of restorations. Being prosthodontists, we were taught how to prepare teeth, right? But as you gain more experience, you realize that with the adhesive technology that we have today, it is possible to implement unconventional designs and create restoration of your liking, yet conforming to the principles of restorative dentistry. To me, a fit of the restoration, which is perfect, has no alternative, right? Once you get the perfect fit of the margins, you are sure that this restoration is going to last. We can use a variety of different materials that we are going to see very shortly. And in case, unfortunately, a restoration fails, repeats, or a change is very easily possible. The reason is the design of the restoration is already there in the computer's file. You just have to open up the file, remill the restoration, and it can be made ready ahead of time before even the patient arrives to the dental clinic. Now, if we are using chairside CAD CAM, it doesn't mean that we can get away with lousy teeth preparation, right? So studies have constantly proven the better is your tooth preparation, the better will be your final result. So with these intuitive softwares that are present in today's CAD CAM era, it is actually possible to get your preparation checked and verified and analyzed by the software before you let the patient go. So while the patient is still on the chair, the software will tell you the reason, regions where there are undercuts, if there is inadequate occlusal clearance, if your margin is not smooth in certain areas. So you have the ability to go back to the patient's mouth, go back to the tooth, modify, make the necessary changes, cut that section of the impression and rescan only that particular area. So friends, I'm sure this is a treat for everyone, but for a chairside CAD CAM user, this is the real treat. The variety of materials that are at their disposal. So just to quickly go through the choices that a CAD CAM user has, beginning from the top, we have the feldspathic ceramics, which still have a very important application in anterior aesthetics. Then, of course, you have probably the world's most favorite material, that is lithium disilicate, which we fondly know by the name of Emax. Then, of course, we have the crystalline ceramics, zirconia, and all things that you can do with zirconia. Then a very exciting group of materials, the hybrid ceramics, which is a combination of composite network with ceramic fillers. This is gaining a lot of popularity, especially for implant restorations. And last but not least, we have the polymers, where we have acrylics and composites, which can be used for intracoronal as well as certain extracoronal restoration. And then you have the ability to sinter zirconia in less than 15 minutes. So traditionally, zirconia would take few hours to sinter, and now with the advent of super speed sintering, it has brought zirconia to the chair side CAD/CAM table, and we can deliver a full contour zirconia crown in less than 1 hour. So as that Dr. Koshi rightly introduced, today's lecture is going to focus on the principle that Dr. Divan gave almost close to 100 years back, that it is the perpetual preservation of what remains rather than meticulous replacement of what is lost. So let us see some possibilities of restoring posterior teeth. So our department in our dental colleges was called as prosthetic crown and bridge. We are doing less of full crowns and less of bridges today because we are following the conservative philosophy. So today the modern indications of full crowns are only to replace existing full crown. So if you have a patient who had a full crown before and he's come to you for a replacement, then you have to make another full crown for that patient. For implant restoration, obviously, for restoring implants, we have to make full crowns. And as a retainer for a fixed bridge. So if you're making a 3-unit bridge, you probably have to still go for a full crown. So these are the only places where you would choose a full crown. What are the modern recommendations for restoring posterior teeth? First is that the restorative technique should be minimally invasive and adhesive. So we are doing less of cementations and we are doing more of bonding procedures. Immediate dentine sealing has gained so much of importance now. So the moment you expose dentine or prepare dentine, please go ahead and seal it with the 8th generation bonding agent then and there before you do anything, whether you want to take a scan or you want to take an impression. Treat vital teeth like babies. And then, of course, we have the deep margin concept of deep margin elevation, where if we have a proximal cavity on an endodontically treated tooth and the defect extends subgingivally, I can isolate, elevate that margin by doing a very nice composite restoration and let my crown or my onlay rest on the composite margin rather than on the subgingival area of the natural tooth. The only precaution here is this area of composite obtained by deep margin elevation shouldn't be more than 3 millimeters. So let us see this situation where we have endodontically treated tooth. So traditionally, when I prepare this tooth, this is my full crown preparation. See the amount of tooth structure that is sacrificed because we need to eliminate undercuts. We need 2 plane or 3 plane reduction to get a proper contour on the full crown. And obviously we need the occlusal clearance. As opposed to that, suppose I was to give an onlay with a strong material. See how much of tooth structure is preserved. My margins can very well rest on the facial and the lingual surfaces of the teeth. My occlusal clearance is something which we have to do, and see the amount of ferrule, natural ferrule that you can preserve when you adopt such kind of tooth preparation. So in the traditional approach, when we make full crowns on endodontically treated teeth, typically after the endodontics, we have a lot of dentine which is reduced from the inside of the tooth. Then we prepare the tooth for a full crown and we reduce a lot of enamel and dentine from the outside of the tooth. And many times we have to resort to making post-encores. So as prosthodontists, you frequently come across such situations where you have such badly broken down teeth and we go ahead and do our post-encore restoration. Many times they end up like this. And then all we need to do is extraction and implants, right? So can we do something better? So the principle of compression dome is what is basically the heart of giving partial coverage occlusal restorations. And this compression dome, because of the sigmoid curve of the occlusal surface, is actually leading to strengthening of the remaining tooth structure. So when the restoration is bonded onto this occlusal surface, we have compression leading to strengthening of the tooth surface. So today we have to stop thinking about full crown preparations and concentrate on modern ways of preparing teeth. So when we are looking at posterior occlusal preparations, we have butt joint as our occlusal preparation design. We have a bevel, and we also have a shoulder, which is possible. So these kind of teeth preparation, they are taking advantage of the remaining enamel on the circumferential surface of the occlusal part of the tooth. So either you can have a bevel, as you see on the figure on the left hand side, or you can have a shoulder as your, or a butt joint as your final finish line. So just to show you, these are real cases done with chairside CAD/CAM. So on the left, you see a butt joint throughout. So you distinctly see a circumferential band of enamel, which is essential for success of these kind of restorations. Then in the middle, you see on the proximal surfaces, you have a little bit of shoulder or wide chamfer to accommodate the cavity preparation. And the picture on your right shows deep margin elevation and a bevel on the entire occlusal surface. Right? So there, it is possible to have a combination of margins. So it's not that you should have a single type of finish line all over the tooth. Depends on the architecture of the tooth and the amount of tooth structure that is remain. Right? So you can mix and match. So there are no definitive rules. However, there are certain guidelines to be followed when we are preparing these posterior teeth. First is obviously be as conservative as possible. Stay in enamel whenever possible. Do not sacrifice enamel unnecessarily. Secure occlusal clearance. This is a basic prosthodontic principle which is still valid here. Reduce and protect cusps. So if the residual thickness of a cusp is less than 1.5 millimeters, it is better to reduce the cusp and cover it with a restoration. Minimize dentinal exposure and avoid preparation of shoulders, slots, and pinholes. So if we go back to our textbooks like Schillingberg and Rosenstiel, you see slot preparations, pinholes, and grooves, accessory grooves to enhance retention. So today with adhesive dentistry, there is no need to do all these kind of retentive features. Always make sure that your preparation is smooth with rounded line angles and point angles. Stay above the height of contour of the tooth whenever possible, and supragingival always. So there is no question of going subgingival in these conservative type of preparation. So let us see a few cases. So we have a large occlusal defect like this on a vital tooth here, right? So traditionally, a restorative dentist would have either gone for an amalgam restoration or a composite restoration. But see, a functional cusp is missing here. So can't we do a very durable, stronger restoration? Yes, this is an inlay fabricated in a hybrid ceramic. As I had mentioned, it is a combination of composite and ceramic. So this is the scan and the design on the software, and this is the final result. So the best part of this procedure is right from preparation. There's not much preparation to be done, right? The defect is always there because an old filling had failed. To designing, scanning, designing, and milling was completed in less than 40 minutes. So such kind of small restorations are bonded and then polished intraorally, right? So this is a simple workflow where we give a high quality, durable restoration to the patient. Again, another vital tooth, you have a lot of dentinal exposure. So traditionally, we have been taught that we first do a core buildup on this and then probably go for a full crown, right? But if you see carefully, 3 walls of this tooth are still completely intact. So why should I sacrifice that much of enamel in order to give a full crown? So I only give a Emax onlay here. But one thing to remember is whatever dentine is exposed has to be sealed immediately, first with a bonding agent, and then you can choose to layer a flowable composite on that, and then scan or take an impression and go ahead with your restoration. Another vital tooth, large distal defect. Now, if you see carefully, the buccal lingual buccal margin, the cusp, the residual thickness is less than 1.5 millimeters. So the picture in the middle, we have decided to reduce that cusp and involve it in the design. The dentine, as you can see, has been covered with flowable composite here. And then we scan, design, mill the restoration in Emax and bond it. So everything is completed in about 1 hour's time. So friends, the restoration of such defects is not the forte of conservative dentists only, because they are only concentrating on endodontics. So restoration of even single teeth are left to us, prosthodontists. So we must take this challenge and adopt conservative techniques to restore them. Now, when we see non-vital teeth, it was taken for granted that after doing endodontics, one must give a full crown. But if you see this tooth on the left-hand side, endodontics completed, large part of the tooth structure is still intact. So there is a possibility of conserving this tooth structure. So we obviously seal the pulp chamber and fill it up with a core build-up material like Luxacore or Paracore. And then we smoothen the margins and remove any unsupported enamel. Take a scan. This is the design, and you see the restoration milled in lithium disilicate and bonded on. So there is no reason for you to go for a full crown here. Another case of deep margin elevation, and you can see how the distal margin was elevated from the subgingival and brought up to the supragingival scenario. And then we can scan, design, and bond a Emax only. So here a small tip: before bonding, I like to do intraoral sandblasting on the composite, which is in the core area, so that we can enhance bonding with the composite, right? Instead of applying etching gel, which has no effect on the composite, one can use intraoral sandblaster, and that will create the micro roughness which is necessary for bonding the onlay. You have a scenario like this, and this is a typical crown lay preparation. You would traditionally go for a full crown, but we are highly conservative. So this is the kind of preparation that we have. And this is the design, and this is the final restoration. So these are the kind of, I'm sorry, I'll take it back. Yeah. For a posterior tooth, you see the pulp chamber is sealed properly. You have a distal margin which is clearly in enamel, and you have a occlusal tabletop. So now there is a confusion in the terminologies used, whether to call it as an overlay, a crown lay, a tabletop, or a wand lay. So the glossary of prosthodontic terms clearly does not recognize these terms. There is only an inlay, onlay, and a full crown. So technically, all these would be onlays, but for sake of convenience, these kind of terminologies are used. Here's a premolar. So it's not that we can only restore molars. We can also restore premolars. So this is a mandibular premolar with a similar kind of onlay design and the final restoration. And what you can appreciate here is the nice flushing of the margins on the buccal aspect. So the margin on the buccal surface is in the middle 1/3 of the tooth, and you cannot delineate the restoration from the rest of the tooth. So even in the aesthetic zone, we can now go ahead and place these partial coverage occlusal restoration. So the last case here, we have two posterior teeth sealed with glass ionomer, which I really do not like as a post-endodontic material. So I replaced that with composite. And we have the entire peripheral margin in enamel. And this is the final result that you get from a lithium disilicate restoration placed. There is a concept of endocrowns, which is also gaining popularity. So we don't have to give full crowns. In cases with reduced clinical crown heights, we can avoid giving a post and core restoration. We can use the intracoronal retention from the tooth and then cover it. So this is how the design and the intracoronal extension would look like on the internal surface of the crown. And this is the final design. And this is the final endocrown given in zirconia. So the recommendation here is that the intracoronal extension should not be deeper than 3 to 4 millimeters. So don't extend the intracoronal extension right till the pulpal floor, because that can actually jeopardize and fracture the tooth. And also there are inaccuracies in complete seating of the restoration. So seal that, fill it with composite, bring it to a level where you can have an extension of just having said that, since we are talking about full, partial coverage restorations, it doesn't mean that we should not do full crowns. There are certain indications where we have to do full crowns, and we as prosthodontists are trained to do full crowns even in our sleep. So even in our sleep, our hand can move, and you give a error in our hands, and we can still prepare a full crown. So these CAD/CAM systems can uh, prepare full crowns very easily. That is bread and butter for them. So there are certain applications where a full crown is still needed. Now, can we push this philosophy and do a full mouth rehabilitation? So here on the top, you see a patient who had come to me from the US, and her clear instruction was that you are not going to prepare my teeth. Can you help me without preparing a single tooth? So I explained to her that your mandibular incisors are a little proclined. So we follow all the principles of full mouth rehabilitations, but see the conservative dentistry that is possible today, that this entire case is treated by no prep tabletops. So there was no tooth preparation done here. And we have these onlays bonded onto the occlusal surface. Of course, we do sandblasting of the occlusal surface to increase the micro retention. And except the lower anteriors, minimal preparation or zero preparation was done. Of course, the vertical dimension was increased, so that gave us all the space that we needed to accommodate these onlays. So it is even possible to do a full mouth rehabilitation using this technique. Post and course, you see a tooth like this, traditionally, I would, your professors would tell you that you need to do a cast post because the elliptical nature of the canal, right? But with CAD/CAM technology, and the depth of field that the modern scanners have, you can scan right into the depth of the post space. You can design a post. This is the post design. It is milled in lithium disilicate, crystallized, and then bonded onto the tooth, then scanned again, and a full crown is designed here, and it is prepared. So the entire post and core treatment completed in one single visit. So as prosthodontists, sky is the limit. Whatever you can think of, whatever you can design, the machine can manufacture and deliver a high quality restoration in one single visit. So let us see how we can do simple aesthetic treatment with using this kind of technology. So as I told that full crowns is what we are trained to prepare. This is what we can prepare day in and day out. But as conscientious prosthodontists, we must adopt conservative preparation design. So today, this is a veneer classification which has been proposed. So class 1 is minimum prep. Class 2 is where almost 80% of enamel is remaining. Class 3 is where more than 50% of enamel is remaining, and class 4 is where you have less than 50% of enamel remaining. So this is the kind of veneer preparation that we used to do almost 15 years back. These are one of my cases that in early part of my career. But today, this will be a gross over reduction of tooth surface. So even our veneer preps are getting conservative. So this is the kind of class 2 minimum prep designs that we are following today. This is perhaps a class 3 moderate range of preparation. We would never go more than this. There is no need of preparing anything more than this. If you see carefully, the labial surface, the entire enamel is available for a strong bond with the veneer. Right? Again, another example of class 3 veneer preps, conserving as much of tooth structure as possible. Another way, another design. So we have to start thinking conservatively. So here's a comparison between the class 3 design on the left and a class 2 design on the right. You can see how much it almost looks as if it has not been prepared. And this is the kind of change that we have to bring in today's philosophy. So today, in few cases, it is possible to do no prep veneers. So here we have a lady who has discolored lateral incisors, and a wedding is coming up tomorrow, and she wants something to be done today. Right? So if we analyze the contour of the labial surface is not very convex, so it is possible to do zero preparation, directly scan the tooth, mark the margin on the virtual model, design a veneer, prep and bond. So this is two Emax veneers which are hand polished and bonded. So once you understand the translucency of these ceramic blocks, you can choose the appropriate block and give your final restoration. Here is the case of incisal chipping. So here the softwares are so smart that even with minimum prep, there's no prep done. I can tell the software to copy the left lateral incisor and make a mirror image on the right hand side. And this is how the software designs it. We just have to mill. Here a little bit of glazing was done and bond the final restoration. So the smart softwares can help us get a fabulous restoration. So in the anterior zone, when you come across a defective lateral incisor, jump onto the case, because lateral incisors are very, very easy to restore, because there is no need of absolute symmetry, and the shade is between the central and the canine. So if you see a case like this, they are one of the best to restore. So this is a ceramic veneer on the lateral incisor, which is hand textured and hand polished. So all I did was designing a little bit of texturing on the software. And once the milling is completed, under magnification, you use slow speed burrs and try to match the texture of the veneer with the adjacent teeth. So dear friends, as prosthodontists, we must remember that shape is shade. Shape is shade. That means if you get the shape right, shade in these modern materials is not very difficult to achieve, right? So this is how this case ended. In one single visit, we could replace or restore both the lateral incisors with porcelain veneers, which are hand polished and bonded. There is not even no glazing performed here. So we see another central incisor is a slightly difficult ball game. So we have a fractured central incisors. Of course, endodontics is done here. And then a core buildup is done, a post-in core is done immediately. We scan, and this is the restoration, which is produced by the mirror copy and mirror function in the software. And then a little bit of staining and glazing can be achieved here. So if you see the incisal edge, white stain is applied on the incisal edge to create the incisal halo, and orange stain on the middle 1/3 to give a natural appearance. Again, the texture here is important. This was the design on the software, and this is the final result that you can achieve. So it is possible to mirror and copy the unaffected contralateral teeth. This was all single restorations, and of course we have the ability to do multiple veneers. You have a case like this, slightly a relapsing orthodontics. A lot of such cases will come to you. The patient does not simply want to do orthodontics again and wants a restorative work. So the best part to do such cases is you still would go ahead and do a lab mock-up, and then using the mock-up we give provisionals here. So these cases are not possible in one single visit, but what here is possible is you maximize and modify the temporaries or the provisionals in the patient's mouth, take a scan, and then use that as a reference for designing your final restoration. So again, a minimum prep philosophy used for prepping these teeth. And this is the final result of Emax veneers for restoring the maxillary anterior teeth. Fluorosis, again, such cases, very dramatic change can be brought about in such cases. Again, a minimum conservative philosophy used. And then these veneers, these are about 0.3 millimeters in thickness. So this is the kind of fine milling that these machines can produce today. So the minimum thickness is 0.3 and 0.2 millimeters in certain regions. And then because we are using CAD blocks that have a little bit of chroma built into them, there is no need to stain and glaze these restorations, right? So you can hand texture and hand polish. So these veneers are hand texture and hand polished. Then what we do is we take, since these veneers are ultra thin, we can change the shade and modify the shade of these kind of veneers by using the color of the resin cement. So we have trial paste available. We try different trial paste and get the most optimum results with it. So this is the final result by using a light cured resin materials. These are value based shade systems. So you don't have shades like A1, A2, and A3. You have a neutral, light, warm. So depending on whether you want to increase the value of the teeth or reduce the value of the teeth. So this treatment is done in one single visit. So 6 veneers given in about 4 to 5 hours of time. And this is a remarkable change that we can achieve with chairside CAD/CAM. Then, of course, you can make bridges. If you want to make a zirconia bridge, it is technically possible to make even a 12-unit roundhouse full arch bridge with this chairside technology. But that is not something that we as prosthodontists will recommend today. What about adhesive bridges? So you see a case like this, the patient does not want to go for an implant for whatever reasons, but want a conservative restoration. So as prosthodontists, we know that if we go for a traditional 3-unit bridge, we will be sacrificing so much of tooth structure, especially in the mandibular incisor region, that there will be very little tooth structure left, right? So we can do a no prep adhesive bridge here. So what we do here is just take a scan of the teeth and mark extension or a fin on the adjacent lateral incisor. Nowadays, the recommendation is to give a cantilevered Pontic. There is no need to give 2 retainers. Only 1 retainer is sufficient. And this is a unilateral retainer, and rest of the tooth structure is the Pontic is designed on the software and bonded immediately. So this is possible in one single visit. So you can use such kind of restorations on implant cases where you have done guided bone regeneration, where there is a waiting period of few months and some kind of a definitive or provisional, a long-term provisional has to be given. Such kind of Maryland bridges or adhesive bridges are really highly successful. So this is the final result obtained in one single visit. Then as prosthodontists, we are very concerned about occlusion, and why not? So all these software allow us to control every aspect of occlusion, whether it is the intercondylar distance, whether it is the condylar inclination, whether it is the Bennett angle, whether it is the immediate side shift. You know, depending on the laxity of the temporomandibular joint, you can palpate it on the patient and then modify these values on the software. So today, dear friends, it is possible to do without a physical semi-adjustable articulator and restore even full mouth cases. Also, these softwares are so smart that in this particular case, if you see carefully, the software has analyzed the wear of the existing teeth and brought about the habitual occlusion present in the patient. So the software already knows that this is how the patient is chewing. So how does this information help us? If you see this case, these are the lateral interferences that are present on the design. So you can go ahead and reduce these interferences on the software ahead of time before manufacturing the restoration while preserving the centric stops, right? So the lateral interferences are removed. So if you see this case, on the left-hand side, the table tells you where are the protrusive interferences, the videotrusive interferences, laterotrusive interferences, and they are clearly marked as an occlusal compass on the tooth. You can go ahead and eliminate them. If you want a canine guided occlusion, you can preserve the lateral canine guided function and then prepare the restoration. So let us see a case of full mouth rehabilitation done completely digitally in a single visit. Sorry, not in a single visit, but completely chairside without the need of a dental laboratory. So this is type 2 wear. This is the provisional done from a digital mock-up. And then, of course, we start restoring this case quadrant-wise. First, we do the anterior segment while the posteriors are still in the provisional phase. This is the design. And these are the anterior restorations fabricated chairside in one single visit. And you can see the canine guidance which was chosen for this particular case, and the posteriors are still in the provisional phase. Then once the anterior guidance is achieved, then we can go to the posterior segment and replace them one by one. So all are digital scans, and this is the kind of canine guidance that I had chosen for this particular case. And if you see, and this is what we have achieved with clear posterior disclusion. So the right lateral and the left lateral. So this is the final result. All are conservative lithium disilicate restorations done chair side without any dental laboratory, without any impression, without any jaw relation, without any articulator, completely digital. Another case with a little more tooth wear, the same principles are followed. This is the kind of freeway space that is available. So a lot of scope for restoring such a case. So this is the digital mock-up done on the software and a 3D printed model. And using this information, we have these bonded provisionals given to the patient. This is the condition of the provisionals after a month of use. And then we start preparing the teeth. Again, first the anterior and then the posterior. Conservative treatment philosophy, minimum preparation. We have lithium disilicate in the anterior and monolithic zirconia in the posterior. So this is the radiograph of the tooth. Even implant restorations can be done chair side without any need of taking impressions and sending it to the laboratory. So this is the kind of final result that you can achieve by chair side. So this entire staining glazing is done by me in the clinic within the perspective of chair side CAD CAM. So no technician was involved here. And last segment, I'll quickly, I know I'm about to reach my time. I'll show some implant restoration that can be done with chair side CAD CAM. So one way is abutment level scanning. So you have a case of a fractured maxillary lateral incisor. Nowadays we do partial extraction therapy and we do socket shield. So this is the shield prepared. This is the implant placed and a custom abutment, stock abutment is attached to the implant. We have the necessary primary stability to load it immediately. And we take a scan, we can see the margins absolutely perfectly here. This is the design on the software and this is the final result on the same day. So in one single visit, a partial extraction, implant insertion and the crown given. So this was ideally supposed to be a provisional crown, but it was made in Empress CAD, which is a lucite reinforced feldspathic ceramic, hand polished and cemented with a temporary cement. But when the patient comes back after 3 months, the results are pretty good. There is absolutely no need of changing this restoration. So here the principles of one abutment, one time. So once we connect that abutment, we do not disengage it and delivering a high quality, highly polished restoration immediately. So this is what leads to the success here, right? But the correct way of using CAD CAM is using titanium base. So in the tie base concept, you have a abutment, which is a tie base, which is specific to the implant system that you're using. You have a scan body that you need to attach over the tie base while doing the scan. And then you have dedicated CAD CAM blocks with a hole in the center because we are going to convert this into a screw retained prosthesis. So we mill the superstructure in the milling machine, finalize, stain glaze it if necessary, and then bond it onto the tie base extraorally. So this entire process is done extraorally. So there is no possibility of the cement going into the implant sulcus, right? So just to show you a few cases, this is how it looks like. The tie base, which is sandblasted to enhance the retention, and there's the Emax crown, which will be cemented onto the tie base. So it's a perfect fit. There is absolutely no overhangs here. And this is the final result. So what we as prosthodontists really want is the kind of emergence profile. So the mandibular molar here, first molar is the implant crown, and the kind of emergence that we need from, or rather we expect from a crown is what you will achieve. So another case, a lateral incisor. This is the scan body in position. This is how it looks like occlusally. It is milled in a hybrid ceramic, bonded extraorally onto the tie base, and then screwed on to the necessary region. Now, with the advent of guided implantology, it is possible to complete most implant treatments in 2 appointments. So the first appointment, we use the surgical guide, place the implant, and place the gingival former. Second appointment, we take a scan using the scan body and deliver the final restoration. Completely chair side, no need of impressions, no need of dental laboratories. Right? So I'm about to end just to show you a few cases. Extraction done, implant placed immediately, and here we give a customized abutment to the patient, and we do not give a crown over this, allow it to heal, and you can see the gingiva is nicely healed around the customized abutment here. And then when the patient comes back after 2 months, we just use the same file. The crown is already designed on the file. Just mill the crown and deliver. In fact, you can mill it ahead of the time if you want, and just bond it. And this is the final result that can be obtained with that. So even in healed sites, suppose I want to do progressive loading, that is what I wanted to do because this was a case of guided bone regeneration. So I have a customized abutment and a provisional crown here. So this is in 3 pieces. We have the customized abutment, which will be cemented extraorally on the titanium base and torqued on to the abutment, onto the implant. And then we cement a provisional restoration for the time being and see the fit and finish of the entire system as precise as it can get. And this is how it looks on the design. And you can see the customized abutment in place. This is the design. This is the customized, this is the provisional restoration. And then we finally just mill and replace it with the final restoration, which is in full occlusion. So I'm out of my time. Dear friends, thank you very much for the kind attention that you have given. I hope I was able to give you an overview of the possibilities with chairside CAD/CAM. And I hope that the state of Kerala will very soon have a chairside CAD/CAM system and then utilize, and a prosthodontist will be at the helm of it and make a complete utility. So once again, I thank the chairperson and the organizers of this conference for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the remarkable session. I'm sure you have rendered a widespread knowledge on digital prosthodontics, comprehensively scanned, milled, and delivered. Now over to Dr. Elto Koshi, our chairperson. Sir, you may take over.
Thank you, Dr. Veena. Dr. Harshavardhan has smartly scanned us all prosthodontists inwardly, and he has found our lacunae in the field of scanning, milling, and he has scanned the subject and milled the subject thoroughly and engraved the subject thoroughly into our minds. Though he has lectured on the incorporation of artificial intelligence into scanning machines, his intelligence is not artificial. That is what we have understood from his lecture. No wonder why the government of India has entrusted him to develop a CAD/CAM machine indigenously for our country. The term conservative dentistry has almost become synonym to conservative dentistry and endodontics presently. But Dr. Harshavardhan, with his lecture, has rightly introduced us into a world of conservative prosthodontics.
That's right.
Completing a dental treatment with much speed and reduced visits for dental treatment is the need for this COVID era. Dr. Harshavardhan has proven with his lecture that scan, mill, and deliver is the apt one for this present COVID era. Thank you, Dr. Harshavardhan, for this wonderful lecture. Let me go into the questions which has been sent by the participants.
So I can see a question by Dr. P.C. Jacob, sir. Thank you, sir, for your question. I'm very honored that you are listening to this lecture. Sir is asking in endo crowns, if a re-endo is required, how difficult are they to remove? That's a very, very good question. So, sir, they are difficult to remove, and that is one reason why endo crowns are slowly, not gaining so much of popularity. There was a few years back where a lot of endo crowns were done, but today, for one of the reasons is if a re-endo is required, it is going to be very difficult because of the intracoronal extension of the strong restorative material. However, my philosophy always is that the endodontics today is of a very high standard, and we must ensure the best possible endo treatment before delivering any kind of final restoration. So many cases we have to resort to doing re-endo before we do the final restoration using these bonded materials. So I hope I answered that question. If you have any doubt whatsoever, please do not choose endo crowns as an option. The second part of his question is, can zirconia be bonded? So unfortunately, we all know that zirconia is a polycrystalline ceramic. We cannot etch zirconia, although few companies have introduced zirconia etching gels using very strong acids. They do not work in the same way as a hydrofluoric acid is used on glass ceramics because they contain silica. So we cannot expect that kind of a etching surface. However, by doing sandblasting using 50 micron sand at 2 bar pressure, we can create very good micro roughness. The second suggestion is to use cleaning agents like IvoClean, which remove any residue that may be present on the internal surface of the zirconia crown. And lastly, we must use zirconia primers. So these are 10 MDP containing formulations, which should be used on the internal surface. And dear friends, strong recommendation to use resin cements for virtually all our needs. Whether you are bonding or a crown or cementing a crown on a vital tooth, whether it is PFM, whether it is zirconia, or whether it is a glass ceramic crown. Today, we should not be using zinc phosphate and glass ionomer. We have to use resin cements in almost all cases. So I hope I have answered that question for you, sir. Thank you very much.
One question is from ES8.
Right.
Sir, do you use rubber dam in all these cases? Rubber dam is important as far as bonding is concerned.
Good question. I'll be very honest with you. I do not use rubber dam in each and every case because for one, it is sometimes very difficult to apply the clamp where we have done an occlusal onlay preparation. And secondly, if you see carefully, in these kind of conservative preparations, the margin is clearly supragingival. It is in the middle third of the teeth. So achieving isolation is very easy. So most of the times by using 400 and 600 dentistry with good assistance and using cotton rolls judiciously with a very good suction, we are able to achieve very good isolation and we can bond them even without a rubber dam. Yes, certain cases where it is very critical, we can use rubber dam, but honestly, I do not use it for all cases.
Another question is, sir, could you elaborate about the deep margin elevation with composite rather than keeping margin in sound tooth?
Yes, typically you will find that in most of the endodontically treated posterior teeth, there is a large proximal defect, either mesial or distal, and invariably it extends subgingivally. So it is very difficult to do a crown lengthening procedure and extend our margins of the restorations so far subgingival. The problem is after cementation or bonding, it will be very difficult to clean the excess of cement layer. So it is very much acceptable to elevate that margin. Of course, you have to isolate properly by using either a retraction cord or a retraction paste or even a diode laser wherever appropriate. And then do a nice, make a gingival seat and make a nice proximal box and a composite restoration. So the guideline here is that proximal defect should not be more than 3 to 3.5 millimeters in its dimension. If it is more than that, then you have to look at other alternatives. But most of the times it is well within that limit and we can easily elevate that margin. And like I said, I would like to sandblast that elevated margin before bonding or cementing the occlusal restoration. So yes, I would always prefer my margins to be supragingival rather than going subgingival onto the natural tooth.
And this regarding the cost
Yeah.
that you charge the patients, what would be the charge for a single crown that is milled compared to the conventional crowns?
Right. So the costing is completely your prerogative. I would like to tell you that the cost of the blocks turns out to be very similar to the laboratory cost that you would pay for making these restoration. For example, a Emax crown, it would cost around 2,000 rupees, and the block would cost you around 1,700 rupees. And even if you factor in the cost of the burrs, how do you price it? Completely your lookout. So there are people, as a chairside CAD/CAM trainer, I have moved all over the country. So I have seen people charging as less as 6,000 rupees to averagely 10 to 12,000 rupees. And the sky is the limit. Of course, there is no upper limit. People can charge whatever they want. If you compare this with charges abroad, they can only laugh at us because our charges are pitiful as compared to there. But the idea should be to give a good restoration to the patient. So maybe in few cases we sacrifice a little bit of our own profit to give a high quality restoration to the patient. But if you explain to the patient the entire process, that you will be designing the restoration yourself, you will be fabricating the restoration within the clinic yourself, they understand the value of the treatment. And once they understand the value of the treatment, the cost becomes secondary. Right? So don't try to work on the cost of that right away. Try to tell what quality and what value you are going to give to the patient. But from the dentist perspective, the cost is more or less as a laboratory will cost you. So it is up to you how you take it further.
I'll take one more question. That's from a senior prosthodontist, Dr. Shyam Mohan. Your
Yes.
choice of cement for implant restorations.
Very good question, sir. So conventionally, cementing implant crown in the mouth is now contraindicated. That is the reason we have moved on to screw retained restorations. So in this case, we are going to cement the superstructure extraorally. So my choice of cement would be an anaerobic cement, which does not get affected by oxygen inhibition. So we have products like DTK Kleber cement from Brident Medical. So this is specifically made for such purposes, for bonding and cementation of metallic and ceramic components extraorally. Another example is the multi-link hybrid cement from Ivoclar Vivadent. These have been developed specifically for such purposes. They come in translucent and opaque varieties. So opaque would be useful for masking the color of the abutment if you are using a full ceramic crown. Having said that, even if you do not have access to these specialized products, you can use any resin cement. Any resin cement, any dual cured resin cement can be used to fix the superstructure onto the titanium basis.
Dr. Eldo, Dr. Rupesh here, just take a second. I'd like to thank Dr. Harsh for being here, accepting our invitation. And you have, I'm sure you have stimulated the interest of a lot many young practitioners and our prosthodontist into, you said, a chairside CAD/CAM user. What do you think, very quickly, if you can just tell me what could be the expense of setting up a basic lab, because that's also an important factor when somebody thinks about it. So what do you think, very quickly, if you can just give an approximate logistics of the same? And,
yes, so there are two possibilities here. One possibility is that you first only invest in a intraoral scanner and take digital impressions to begin with, and send your files to the laboratory. So that investment will be in the range of say 10 to 20 lakh rupees, investing in a good intraoral scanner only. And at a later stage, when you are more confident, you have more number of cases, and when you feel the time is right, you can add a milling machine with their softwares and a sintering furnace to it. But if the other possibility, of course, is to go for the entire setup. So the chairside CAD/CAM from Dentsply Sirona, the CEREC system with the Prime Scan, which is their best scanner, goes in the range of 90 lakh rupees. So it is you probably should not go for your Mercedes or BMW, and rather invest in this, which is actually going to help you give better result, and it will help you buy the BMW in a few years, maybe later on. So this is one approach where you can go ahead. Of course, this is a fully integrated system where the scanner, the milling machine, and all the sintering furnace are integrated into a single software. It is possible to mix and match. Also, you buy an intraoral scanner from one manufacturer, buy open-ended milling machine from others, and use a third-party software. That can reduce maybe the cost to around 50 lakhs, but the seamless workflow will not be present there. So as compared to this, a laboratory setup, on the other hand, if you buy a laboratory scanner and a laboratory milling machine, that can easily come under 40 lakhs or 45 lakhs. So this is the basic economics. So I would say if you are doing 2 all ceramic crowns every day or 2 all ceramic restorations using chairside CAD CAM, the you can expect a return on investment in 2 to 3 years, 2 to 3 years time. That is the horizon you can look at. So I hope that is
Thank
kind
you.
of